keep moving like that. People were complaining about the cold, and so one person just said, well, the good thing about winter is that if in 4 months' time it will be summer.
So one day at a time.
One day at a time. One day at a time. But before we get into the news review, let's tell you that the newspaper review on the Super Morning Show is brought to us by First Atlantic Bank. Refreshingly different, and Enterprise Life, no matter the season, Enterprise Life is here to give you solutions that guarantee you the best advantage in life. So go on, live your life and dream big with us. Enterprise, your advantage. All right, so let's get into the headlines.
All right, let me start with the Ghanaian Times. Front page, health scare in Tema as central sewage system spillage worsens. Residents call for immediate rehabilitation. An African single market area set to take off as Ghana inaugurates, hands over Secretariat to African Union Commission. We also have President begins 5-day tour of Central Western regions today. And this story we brought you on the 6 a.m. news. Investigate criminal activities during voter registration exercise. And that's from the Peace Council to the IGP. On the back page, Minister urges African countries to harness benefits of the African Continental Free Trade Area. And the Community Water and Sanitation Agency validates free water bills.
So the Daily Graphic, intra-continental trade, Africa takes major leap as the African Continental Free Trade Area Secretariat opens. And let's end monocracy in party politics. That's according to the Speaker of Parliament. And one man who's noted for saying that he lost elections as a result of monocracy is Dr. Edward Nasigri Mahama, who this morning says, I've opted out of December elections. Dr. Edward Mahama. He's contested 5 times. And in all those contests, one thing that always happened was a reduction in his percentage of votes. From 3 to 2.5 to 2 to 1.9 to 1.0, and then eventually he gets about 0.2 votes. So he's not contesting the 2020 elections, Dr. Edward Mahama of the PNC, but graphic political parties deep in engagement. And back page, cocoa farmers in Amenfi West incentivized to produce more, and UNICEF donates to health institutions in Accra.
The front page of the New Crusading Guide has sanctioned soldier who assaulted TV3 journalist, and that's from Dankwa Institute. Wednesday and yesterday, they condemned the act. They're taking it a step further now. They're saying sanction the soldier. And Wakpo community petitions police over land guard activities. And last week, somewhere in Pantang, the police arrested some persons believed to be land guards who were allegedly terrorizing the citizens there. Well, Wapo says, please do same for us. And DGG's mercury-free responsible mining test successful. You remember the story about the pastor asking the MPP to let Carlos Ahenkra step aside. He's MP for Tema West, and he had to resign as minister because he tested positive for COVID-19 and went into public. Well, the MPP youth is warning detractors, says stop attacking Carlos Ahenkra. And this one, Rawlings cracks Professor Ahoy, promises to expose him in a new book. Did you see that tweet? Well, he says Professor Ahoy decided to release his book because he has a book coming up which will expose him. And let me just bring this because it's related. Front page of the Daily Statesman captures it this way. Says Rawlings drops bombshell. Says Ahoy will dump John and Jane after 2020. According to Mr. Rawlings, Professor Ahoy has a plan to take over the party. And so, well,
Mr. Rawlings has been talking about Agenda 2024 for some time now. He always says that some persons within the NDC have, a hidden agenda. They would want to see the party lose the 2020 elections so that they can actually take over the party in 2024. Also because there's been that conversation, if John Mahama loses 2020 elections, would he have the moral authority or right to come back again in 2024? That's another question. If he loses 2020, can he say, I want to come back in 2024 and become flag bearer and eventually become president? Or should the NDC try a new candidate? And Mr. Rawlings believes that the whole agenda is to ensure that there's a new candidate in the 2024 elections. But you know what? You know the interesting thing. Mr. Rawlings has been talking about the triumph of evil for some time now. Last year he talked about how he was waiting for his wife to publish her book. It takes a woman before he publishes his book. It's been a long time. Mr. Rawlings should publish the book so we all get to know what's in the book. But the Ghanaian Chronicle, the Chronicle, says Proverbs 24 verse 29, Do not say, I will do to him as he has done to me. I will pay the man back for what he has done. Enter triumph of evil. Rawlings promises to tear NDC bigwigs into shreds in his yet-to-be-released book, Triumph of Evil. And the title is something else. Anyway, still on the front page. I'll vote for Nana for his good works, Pram chief. And Mahama says the economy is not being managed properly. And President Akufo-Addo hands over the African Continental Free Trade Area Secretariat to the African Union. And back page says David Silva to be immortalized with a statue at Etihad Stadium after 10 years of playing for Manchester City. He's done very well. He's done very well, even though I'm not a fan of Man City, but he's done well. Mbappe could start for PSG against RB Leipzig. That's according to their coach. And John Obi Mikel returns to England football, signs 1-year deal with Stoke City, and Navas out of...
Does he still play? Wow.
Yeah, he still plays. The boys call him Call Me Back. You know what Call Me Back means?
No, please.
Anytime he gets the ball, he goes back. When people are taking the ball forward to go and score, when John Obi Mikel gets the ball, he turns to his own, goalkeeper. So they say, "Call me back, call me back." But he's back
to get the, his other players to set themselves.
No, he doesn't like trouble. So you just pass and be free.
All right, the front page of the Daily Statesman. Akufo-Addo begins Western Region tour today. Bawumia accounts on government infrastructure projects. Tonight, historic push for Africa's unity, continental free trade set in motion in Ghana by President Akufo-Addo. Brought you that one on Rawlings dropping a bombshell. And Winston, what do you have?
So the Daily Guide says Nana opens Africa Trade Secretariat. Witch torture video emerges, and Ochehine fights new job in quotes, and free food for JHS candidates and teachers. But a big one here, look at this. The splash says, how bids balls were squeezed. Rawlings fires ahoy. I have been reading that story, and it's only talking about the triumph of evil, not anything else. Not that Rawlings offers an explanation, but it's just the triumph of evil and everything that Rawlings says about Kwame Ahoy.
Well, maybe this is to get people to pay attention to the paper. Well, the BNFT has a feature on creating credit opportunities for rural farmers, and also a story on farmers wanting cocoa price increase to 700 cedis per bag. And this reminds me of Quentin Artist's documentary on the adjustment of scales by produce buying company clerks. If you've not seen that documentary, you can go onto our YouTube page. It's there, Missing Kilos. That's the title. Also on the front page of the BNFT, Africa is open for business as President hands over AFCFTA Secretariat. And journalists for responsible fisheries calls on government to end Circle now. We've also brought you a documentary on this particular story. And last on the front page of the BNFT, increased taxes to fund youth programs. That's according to a CDD Afrobarometer report. It's interesting.
Very interesting.
That the report is revealing 60% of the country's youth will somewhat support or strongly support higher taxes to fund programs to help them. I hope they will still be in support when they become workers and they don't have as much in their pocket as their gross says. You know, I hope so.
I understand where you're coming from, but you know the communication service tax, the CST, was to fund the Youth Entrepreneurial Agency, YEA. And so, well, we've reduced it from 9 to 5%, and that tells you that around this time, the challenge of government when it comes to taxation is that people are struggling.
Yeah, because of COVID.
Because of COVID. And so government is having to actually support people. So how would you do the Adanko Dada Adre kind of thing, robbing Peter to pay Paul?
And the other thing, Winston, is many have also argued we don't need to burden those who are tax compliant. Just widen the net. There are so many people who are evading tax. Just get those people.
Well, widening the tax net, I'm sure I heard that during the time of Kwesi Botchwey as finance minister, and I still hear it today.
It's been a long time coming,
It's been a long time. We keep talking about widening the tax net. The last time there was a talk of making sure that mobile money clients have tax identification numbers. They use that to register. So we track their,
the business payments.
Because if I give you money as a gift, you're supposed to pay gift tax. If I pay you for work done, you have to pay tax on it. So how do we track the monies that get into your Momo accounts and all of that? But also of importance is that in making sure that lots of people register and have tax identification numbers, one of the things that government could have done was to say anybody whose ward must enjoy free SHS should be known by tax authorities. Have a tax identification number. you'd have seen that many people have registered. Then you begin to track them because people must pay. All of us must pay. That's the equity and fairness we talk about when it comes to taxation. But the finder says, catalyst to boost trade. President hands over Africa Continental Free Trade Area Secretariat to AU to lift over 30 million Africans out of extreme poverty. President commends EC for successful compilation of voters register. Zipline delivers 3,000 COVID-19 samples loaded for efforts in combating the pandemic. And Ashanti region now hotspot for road fatalities in Ghana. That's the National Road Safety Authority.
Let me share this with you. I was coming from Kumasi over the weekend, and Winston, what I saw was not pleasant. So many trucks didn't have backlights functioning, and this is a stretch of road without street lights. And sometimes you need to get really and the other thing is that there's so much soot coming from their exhaust that it even blinds you, so you're not seeing their reflectors, and they don't have lights as well. And all these trucks are going through police checkpoints. Why are we doing that? It's frustrating. You're seeing something, and this could cause an accident and cost people their lives. Truck drivers and their owners, why do we do this? As many as 5.
Five of them.
I'm telling you, broken down. Some of them are broken down, no triangles, and others, no lights.
I'm surprised because, I was in the West Region, I think 2 weeks ago, and when I was returning, the police were checking everything, including your lights, including your insurance. You know, the National Insurance Commission has this motor insurance database, and they just have, they just keying a number at *920 *57 hash. With your car number, they can check whether you have genuine insurance or not. And they were doing that when I got there. I said, I don't have my insurance fixed there. They checked and they said, okay, you can go. So they were checking everything. I spent a long time on the road just because of that. I'm surprised we don't have that in there. But that's one thing that should be done. And also on the front page, COVID-19, Ghana's death toll rises to 239 with 1,847 active cases. So that's it by way of headlines from the newspapers. Let's get into the online review. And the online review is brought to us by Zenith Bank, in your best interest, and GOIL Good Energy. Let me tell you about GOIL and the GH Link card, because going cashless has never been this convenient and exciting. GOIL e-payment system is now compatible with GH Link, the national payment platform. So now you can use GH Link card on your GOIL POS machine to purchase fuel. GH Link card offers additional payment options for fuel purchases at GOIL stations in addition to the Go card. And every fuel purchase is recorded automatically on your monthly bank statement, helping cardholders track and manage their expenses. So go ahead and use your GH Link card to buy fuel and all lubricants from any of GOIL's over 400 stations across Ghana. Go cashless and protect yourself, and stick to all COVID-19 protocols in these times. GOIL Good Energy, GOIL Yenara Yenze. So let's get to my Joy Online. And says the NPP good at making promises, but poor at delivering. John Dramani Mahama in there. And thieves break into Kwesi Pratt's office. Sad one. Yes. Yesterday, made away with his laptop. We were told there was a phone there also which was taken away. Some other online stories. And citynewsroom.com says, voter registration violence, Peace Council urges more transparency from police probes. The dailymail.com says Max and Spencer will axe 7,000 jobs across UK stores in the next 3 months after sales were hit by COVID-19.
And let me just bring this from the BBC. It says Nigeria vows action as traders in Ghana targeted. That was our top story on the 6 a.m. news. And on News Desk on Joy News on TV at 10 a.m., between 10 and 11 a.m., I'll be discussing this issue because Nigeria's government doesn't appear to be very happy with what's happening in Ghana. But the Ghanaian authorities say that we are doing what is legal. We've discussed with them. Just get your papers, do what is right, and you can stay. So there's this back and forth. We'll be delving into the details. So do join me on Joy News.
I certainly would join, and I'd urge all of us to join. But this is the thing about Nigeria, Ghana, because if you're going to Nigeria to do business, you need a minimum amount that you could do business. And the same with us here. We're saying the retail business is reserved for Ghanaians because we want to protect. Protectionism is a key aspect of trade everywhere in the world. Okay, protectionism is key. And so if Ghana engages in protectionism, it's not a bad thing. There are laws of this country that everybody who comes into the country abide by. So if you're not doing so, that's a problem. But the mirror.co.uk says COVID-19 updates: Leicester to live lockdown today as Birmingham cases spike. Well, here in Ghana, we're told that we're doing well. We're not doing badly at all, are we? We have 1,847 active cases. So what that means is that we're not doing badly. We're doing well. Even though
the numbers are declining.
Yes, the numbers are declining. But the question you ask yourself also is that how are the numbers declining? Are they declining because we are testing more, or they are declining because we are not testing more? That's a conversation that we should also look at that particular situation. Because and I'll be sharing the figures shortly. I just would pull the figures and share with you why Ghana's numbers are declining. But let's see if we could just get into the details. What do you have, Bernice?
Well, let's see. Let me do this one about the increase of taxes to fund youth programs.
Sure.
So that's according to the CGD's Afrobarometer report, and about 60% of the country's youth would somewhat support or strongly support higher taxes to fund programs to help them. For them, the nation's taxation system can be well structured to ensure that the current workforce will be able to fund prudent programs to engage more of the youth in active ventures, which will result in more people getting into the taxation bracket to generate more revenue for national development. The report identified that job creation and education are citizens' top priorities for additional government investment in youth development. And we've seen the investment, especially with this government, for free SHS. But like I said, the other side of the story is that when you grow and you start working as a young person, would you really want your tax to be so much that your net is not exactly reflective of your growth?
Well, there's a saying that when a child begins to give out money, then he realizes that his father was not a wicked man after all. Akrasha says,
no, right? I tell you, growing up is something else. You're pulling from your nose.
That's how it goes. Anyway, thank you very much, Bernice, for joining us with News Review. Still live here on the Super Morning Show on Joy 99.7. It's time for the BBC News after these messages. When we're right back after the BBC News, we'll be having a great conversation because on our Joy Peace campaign this morning, well, we're talking about what happened in the Savannah region. We'll be right back.